Hello traders and welcome back to my YouTube channel IPDATrader. Now in today's video we're going to be talking a little bit about trading psychology and how to deal with potential losing trades or losing days, because really there is sort of a myth behind that, and I want to make one thing very clear at this point. Okay, regardless of how good the system that you trade may be, you are going to have losing days and losing trades, right? There's not one single trader out there that sort of always wins and never loses. You need to understand that. And this is pretty important because it's going to help you with your psychology and understanding your limits and that sort of stuff, right? You don't want to be the trader that is thinking that, hey, I've got a system, I've been waiting 2 hours for a setup, right? Just like in this case over here, this was a trade that I was watching with the private community over here with some members, and that we were actually willing to take. So we were waiting for this since London Open, which occurred at this point. And once the time came to execute, we actually execute just like we're supposed to do. And it failed in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. And you need to be okay with that, because that's really going to happen if you're a trader. If you want to be a trader, you want to make sure you're comfortable with taking losses. But we're really going to be diving deep now into losses, because you need to differentiate between losses in line with your plan and emotional decisions. So we're going to be discussing that right now, right? So let's go back over here and let's actually get started with dealing with losses, because you need this. So let's actually go ahead and write that up over here. Dealing with losses in trading. So this is the topic for now, right? Let's say you were watching a market like this, and for whatever reason, right, doesn't matter if you were watching a trend line over here, or if you're trading smart money and you understand that this is an order block over here. Well, doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? Regardless of it, you took a trade over here, right? You took a buy at this point. You were expecting price to do this right here, to push up, but instead price actually gave you some mitigation and dropped lower, and you've got taken out because your stop loss was below this area. So once that has occurred, instead of getting into the emotional state of mind, which is actually very easy to get into, because you need to understand, and I'm going to be writing this down right here, the algorithm is designed to take advantage of human inefficiencies. You need to understand this right here very well, right? The algorithm is designed to take advantage of human inefficiencies, which means that it is very easy for you, once you've taken a loss, to get into that emotional state of mind where you're just recklessly executing positions, not managing your risk, not waiting for your setups, and essentially losing. And really, this is the reason why 90% of people fail, is because they cannot control those human emotions that are being taken advantage of by the algorithm. So once you've taken this loss, what you should actually do, instead of jumping right back in like a retard, is ask yourself the following question: was this trade in line with my trading plan, or was this an emotional decision due to, and this right here may vary, right? External pressure, poor week's performance, right? You may have had couple losses on previous days and now you're trying to make that back. Certain targets to hit. Maybe you've said to yourself you always need to make 5% a week, and now you're stressed because you're performing bad and you are trying to hit those targets regardless, and the market is sort of taking advantage of you at that point. So this is really what you should do at this point. Once you've taken this loss, what you need to do is ask yourself this question: was this trade in line with my trading plan? If the answer is yes, if you can answer to honestly with yourself that, hey, yes, it was. I was waiting for this. I waited 2 hours. I was waiting for my confirmations. It occurred. So I executed and I lost. Well, then you didn't do anything wrong, right? This was just the nature of the beast. You need to understand that regardless of the trading system that you have in place for yourself, there's always a probability price is gonna go up, and there is always a probability price is going to go down. Now, your job as a trader is to take advantage of those scenarios, patterns, support resistances, whatever you use to take trades, right? I don't care. Your job as a trader is to take advantage of those scenarios where you have a higher probability of winning, right? So you need to really put yourself in the best position to win. You need to understand that, right? So in order to effectively answer this question, right, the question of was this trade in line with my trading plan, you need to understand your trading plan, right? So we're going to be sort of doing an example for myself, right? Because if you're watching this channel, chances are you trade smart money or you're interested in smart money. So I'm going to be giving you some ideas on how I evaluate and sort of deduct if a trade was in line with my trading plan or not, right? So you need to understand that I do have specific rules. Now, while I'm not going to get into details on my rules, I'm going to be giving you sort of the ideas right here. So number one idea and the number one thing I ask myself is my structural play valid? And bear with me for a second, we're going to be getting into this, right? Is my structural play valid? Is my point of interest valid? Is my liquidity aspect being fulfilled? And lastly, was there a successful, was there a sort of, let's say, instead of successful, let's say, was there a valid shift? Just to keep it with valid. So in order to understand if the trade that I've just taken a loss on was valid, I need to answer this question for myself, right? These 4 questions for myself. And really, this is going to vary for you depending on how you trade. But for me, is my structural play valid? Meaning, am I trading with the structure that I'm following and sort of expecting to continue, right? If the answer to that is yes, I can put a check on that. Next thing, is my POI valid? And once again, I'm not going to get into the criteria that I use, but I ask myself this, is my point of interest valid? Yes. Is my liquidity aspect being fulfilled? Yes. Was there a valid shift? Yes. If the answer to these 4 questions in full honesty are yes, then I don't care that I just lost a trade right here, because I did what I exactly needed to do, which is wait for my setup, and once that happens, I execute, regardless of what I feel, regardless of what I believe, regardless of really any other trade or any other trade I may be doing. I don't care. I work for myself, and this is sort of the things that you want to keep in mind when trading the markets. Once you've taken that loss, instead of jumping right back into a trade, emotional, and really trying to make that loss back, now you're stressed, you want to make that back, take a step back, really, and ask yourself this question. This is crucial. Was this trade in line with my trading plan? And in order to get an answer for that, you go to your rules. And now you follow your rules and you go through them, right? You say to yourself, is this valid? Yes, 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 yes. And if you come to the conclusion that everything was valid and fulfilled, then you don't need to be blaming, you don't need to blame yourself, because you actually did exactly what you need to do. You didn't know ahead of time this particular trade within your system was going to fail. No, you didn't know that. Hence why you executed accordingly, managed your position with your stop loss over here, whatever it may be, and you lost the trade. So these are really the keys in regards to taking losses, right? The next time you take a losing trade, instead of jumping right back in because you're emotional and you want to make it back, really go through this process, right? Really take a step back and ask yourself this question and this question right here. And if your trade happened to be in line, then you can just journal that trade, right? Let me get rid of this stuff. You can just journal the trade and continue with your trading session, right? So really, this is the key right here. And this is why 90% of people lose, because you cannot control your emotions once you've taken that losing trade, because you always come to the charts with the idea and expectation that you're going to make money, right? And that's really not a bad thing, but you need to be realistic and you need to understand that, hey, losses are part of the game, regardless of the system that I'm trading, regardless of how good of a trader I believe I am. I'm going to lose sometimes. There's going to be days where I'm going to be giving out money to the markets and I'm not going to get anything back in return, right? And this is where the psychological problem begins, because you're not used to that, right? That is not a common theme in society. Nobody sort of walks around by you and says, "Hey, here's money for you. There you go. Take it." No. Every time you put money out, you always expect to receive something in return. Well, in trading, there's going to be days where you're going to be putting money out there, right? You're going to be throwing money into the market, and the market is going to take that money and leave you with nothing, not giving you anything back in return, right? So please understand that, and that is really going to make you a much better trader in the long term, right? Instead of focusing on the short-term satisfaction of having that winning trade, right? That sort of adrenaline and winning trade. Instead of focusing on that short-term satisfaction, you want to be focusing on the long-term game, which is, hey, I've back-tested my system. I know that if I follow the rules, I will make money. And you want to be focusing on the long term and not on the sort of nonsense and stupidity short-term satisfaction of having a winning trade and posting it everywhere and telling everyone how great of a trader you are, right? You need to sort of get rid of that mentality, because that really is damaging your trading. So understand that really. And really, you should be appreciating every single loss that you may take in the market, right? Because you are going to be learning from those and making sure that you are following your plan, because you will find that most of your losing trades will come from you not following your plan. Every time I wake up and sort of open the charts, I have a specific thing that I'm looking for. I'm not allowing myself the emotional room to sort of play around and say, oh, today I feel like trading, let's grab this tool. Today I feel like trading USD and I'm going to be trading that because my friend started trading this yesterday. No, I have clear guidelines that I need to follow and that I'm going to be following regardless of how I feel, regardless of what I believe I need to be doing. I'm going to be sticking to my plan because my plan is proven to work, opposite to what my emotional decisions usually lead into, which is losing trades and losing money. So I want to be sticking to my trading plan, right? And this is really what's going to draw the line between a successful and a losing trader, right? And we're going to be sort of getting rid of this stuff and drawing the line over here, right? So this is the line right here. This is currently you with all the people that lose, and this is where you want to be, where you are a successful and winning trader. So in order to get over here, you need to learn from your losses, you need to dissect them, and you need to sort of be able to repeat the same process day in and day out, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what you think. In order to get where you want to get, which is a successful trader, you need to be able to repeat the same process day in and day out. And this is why many people fail, because many people do not have the strength of following a particular system for even a week. They sort of start with something, maybe it really goes well for 1 or 2 days, then they start losing, and then they say, hey, this doesn't work, let me actually look for something new. And then you are in this never-ending cycle where you're just losing and changing strategy. Then you watch this trader over here on Instagram, then you move to this one over here, to this one, and you're never really progressing into a professional and profitable trader, right? Matter of fact, you're just wasting your money and your most important asset, which is time. So please understand this. In order to get to where you want to get, you want to be able to follow the same system regardless of what you emotionally feel. And this is a key right here. If you want to make money, you gotta follow your system regardless of what you feel in that particular moment. And really create some rules to protect yourself, right? Say to yourself, hey, every time I take a losing trade, I need at least a 1 hour break before I take another trade, because with probability your emotional control is not going to be the best, and this is going to impact your next trade. So if you make a rule for yourself where you say, hey, before I take another trade, I want to make sure I've given myself a 1 hour rest, and really you feel free to do that. Remember, trading is individual. You can do whatever you want, but really my advice is to follow a particular system, create some rules for yourself that you know you'll follow, and really have some respect on yourself and follow those for a particular period of time, right? Because you should understand that having a profitable system, it's the easy part of the game, right? Everyone can be able to create a system for themselves that work. However, the uh, not different, sorry, the sort of turning point for traders is, can you replicate the system day in and day out? That's the question. Can you replicate it? If you can, and if you apply risk management and you have good emotional control, meaning you can replicate it, you're going to succeed. I can guarantee you that. You need to understand that every time you take a profit out of the market on any particular day, you're beating 90% of other traders out there that lost for that day, right? So really appreciate that fact. Every time you make a profit in the market, you are beating 90% of traders, and really appreciate that. Now, I hope this really provided you some insight over here. I really did try my best to get the message across, right? Main takeaways over here are really dissecting losses, meaning, was this trade part of my plan? If it was, then you've done a great job at executing, and there's no reason to sort of blame yourself, right? Because you've done what you actually needed to do. It just happened to fail because of the probability nature of the market, right? So we're going to be jumping right back, and I want you to understand the following, right? This was a trade that we were watching for hours, and I want to get rid of some of this stuff over here. Just give me a second. This is a trade that we were watching since London Open. We waited for our confirmation, right? I'm not going to get into details, but the confirmations were there. We executed and we lost in 3 minutes. Now, instead of taking another trade right back and telling myself, hey, I have ego, I'm going to beat the market, I'm going to make it back, I actually took a step back and journaled the trade and moved on to the next opportunity whenever that occurs, because I don't want to be taking more trades after I've taken a loss, right? You need to understand that even though these are two different positions over here, right? You can clearly see these are two different positions. This was just a 0.5% risk that I was happy with risking, and that I was sort of happy if it happened to disappear today and the market was not going to give me anything. I was happy with that. So this is really going to be it for this video, guys. I believe there's some value over here. Remember to really dissect your losses in regards to, was this part of my trading plan? And if it was, you actually did a great job today. It just happened to be a losing trade or a losing day, which is part of every single Every single person that trades is going to have days where they lose, regardless of the system, regardless of how good you read candles, regardless of how long you waited for it, regardless of really anything. The market is in its nature based on probabilities, so there's always a probability of you winning, and there's always a probability of you losing, regardless of your knowledge or system or whatever, right? So understand that. Please understand the nature of the market and start thinking that way. Suddenly you're going to see that trading becomes easy because you're no longer chasing that winning trade. You are now focused on following your trading plan and your trading system, and when you really start focusing on that is when profits really start to come in. Until you've mastered that for yourself, you're still going to be battling with a demon that you cannot beat, because it's part of the game. Losses occur and happen, and it's normal, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad trader by any means, as long as those losses are actually part of your plan. So that is going to be it for this video. Please leave a like and comment if you actually found some value over here. I would gladly appreciate that. Remember that the mentorship program is now live and running, and we're really building a nice community. I'm really happy so far. So if you want to take a look into that and sort of get a step-by-step approach to the markets, you can sort of take a look into here and decide for yourself if that's something that you're going to like or not. So that is it, guys. I wish you all good and profitable trading, and I will see you guys soon.